So yeah, I definitely agree with AJ Hawk, and speaking of AJ Hawk, I know he signed, I guess, a 1 day contract with the Packers this week, and he's going to officially retire as a Packer. What do you think about that?
That's
I
great.
know
I think
you're
it's great.
you've always been pretty outspoken against AJ Hawk. Not
And it's not,
viscerally. It's not like Skip
yeah,
Bayless heat or anything, but
no,
um,
and it's not so much that it's against AJ Hawk. It's, we'll call it misdirected anger. It's more Ted Thompson because Ted Thompson has a habit of hanging on to guys that he drafts high for a little bit too long,
yeah,
especially first rounders. And we've seen that come off a little bit because he let Dayton Jones walk. But AJ Hawk, especially having had time that he's not been with the team and having taken more time since we've been doing the show and I've been getting even deeper into stats and records and whatnot, my appreciation for AJ Hawk has really deepened
mm-hmm.
uh, a whole lot. And yeah, I've had my moments where I have been, like I said, not so much against Hawk. I just think that he was there, he was held on to a little long, and they didn't really address that position the way they should have because he just, he lost a step. I don't know that looking back that he was worth, the fifth overall pick, but that was also a lot of unfair pressure uh, dropped on AJ Hawk too. But when you get right down to it, AJ Hawk was, I mean, you can call him Mr. Dependable. He was almost the Brett Favre of the Packers defense. He only missed 2 games his entire career with the Packers. And that's a demanding position to play nearly every game at because you're constantly getting hit.
Yeah, yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head right there. I think he didn't. Well, I guess you could say he underperformed because he was drafted with the
It's
fifth overall pick in the draft,
he was
and
not a
there was
game
so
changer,
much.
and that's yeah,
Exactly, we were looking for the second coming of Ray Nitschke, but he wasn't that. He was a reliable, dependable player who the Packers drafted at 5, and he wasn't the game changer that they were hoping for, but they got a reliable middle linebacker, dependable, rarely ever missed a game. And when you're on the Packers and you rarely miss a game, um, that's important because
yeah.
it just seems like the Packers have always been snake bitten with injuries, especially mostly over the Mike McCarthy era. Um, but AJ Hawk was that steady. He was the anchor of the defense, just that steadying presence. He was always going to be in the middle, and he would always, make the tackle. Wasn't the fastest, wasn't the strongest, but he was a staple of the defense for a long
One,
time, and he helped us win a Super Bowl. And if you're on this team and you help a team win a Super Bowl, you're in my good graces forever. So
yeah. Hey, AJ Hawk will be a Packers
because
Hall of Famer.
I can name a lot of really good, great players that were great players but never helped a team win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there are a ton of guys out there with that very distinction, and AJ Hawk is a guy that he was the quarterback of the defense. It's a lot of what we think of with Morgan Burnett now.
Yeah,
AJ Hawk got guys lined up. He made sure everyone was in position. He made sure everyone was ready to go. He made pre-snap reads and adjustments. He was a coach on the field very much, and like you said, he wasn't the fastest guy always. He wasn't the strongest guy, and he didn't always, make tackles behind the line. They may have always been, 2, 3 yards down the field, but he also wasn't letting guys get away from him either. He was a very sure
yeah,
tackler, which was also something that was missing for a lot of the McCarthy years was sure tackling. But AJ Hawk was always there. And,
yeah.
a
That's just
testament to that is the fact that uh, he has the most tackles in team history with 1,118 tackles over 9 years.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that was what I was going to bring up a minute ago when you were talking about how the stats, going through stats and whatnot, have helped you appreciate certain players, specifically AJ Hawk, appreciate guys like that more doing the show. Yeah, that's one thing I notice looking, because when I saw that he was retiring as a Packer, I was just kind of reading up on some articles on him, and I didn't really know that he was the all time leading tackler for the Packers. Um,
Yeah, I mean,
but
not only that, but he's also in the team record books. A little bit on down the list, Nick Barnett has the most tackles in a season with 194. But AJ
mm,
Hawk had two different seasons of 155 and 153 tackles on the year. He's actually second all time in team history with 155 tackles his rookie season. Rich Wingo had 166 tackles his rookie season, but AJ Hawk is number two in the rookie records for that, and he appears again at number one for the franchise for most unassisted tackles in his career with 798.
yeah, and a lot of that speaks to, like we were talking about. A lot of that speaks to his durability and the fact that he was never missed time, always on the field, always making tackles. And that is so important when you're playing that linebacker position, because you're getting beat up constantly. You're constantly in the middle of a wrecking ball. Whether it was
Yeah,
Adrian Peterson over the years, or whether it was Matt Forte over the years, um, you're always in the line of fire at middle linebacker, and to be as dependable and steady as AJ Hawk was. I'm happy that he's retiring a Packer. I'm happy that he's coming back to retire as a Packer. Let me ask you: do you think he'll be inducted into the Packers Hall of Fame? I can't see how he's not.
definitely, definitely. With all the team records, 9 very steady years as a Packer.
Yeah,
Like you said, he
longevity.
helped the team win a Super Bowl. He was instrumental in that Super Bowl run. There's
Yeah.
no way around that. I don't think they win that Super Bowl without him on the defense holding down the fort in the middle. I mean, he made up a really great tandem between him and Desmond Bishop. And
Yeah.
AJ
And
Hogg,
he's a
I'm
player.
guilty of it.
You mentioned Desmond Bishop. You mentioned Nick Barnett a minute ago. There's an argument to be made. Nick Barnett was a better linebacker than AJ Hawk, but he didn't have the
Yeah,
longevity or the dependability that AJ Hawk presented.
yeah,
So
and
you
Barnett
can't help but
shows
take
up
him
in
out
the
on the field.
records. Uh, Barnett shows up in the records sometimes ahead of Hawk, sometimes a little bit behind Hawk. He's actually number three on the career tackles was with 1,014.
Hmm.
But Hawk, like you said, he was just dependable. He was durable, and I'm probably the most guilty of it. He's underappreciated.
Well, I remember he just so much hype when he got drafted. I remember I saw
Yeah.
AJ Hawk jerseys all over the place when I saw
Well, and he
Packers
came
fans.
came out of Ohio State, so coming from a high profile program.
That's even with the draft coming up this week. I mean, it just goes to show that if when you draft a guy in the first round, it doesn't mean he's going to automatically just be a star player. Sometimes, if you're lucky, you get a solid player who doesn't miss time, contributes, and helps you win a Super Bowl, and is on your team for 9 years. If you can find that in the first round, I would say that you're successful. You were successful that year. So
Yeah, yeah. What would you
so
say if you have one would be your one of your favorite AJ Hawk moments? Because there are a few that really stand out.
mine is not. I don't even know if I guess it's football related, but just when he flipped off that dude on the other sideline.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God, it was great.
That made me fall in love with him more than any tackle or any interception he could have done. Just that attitude. That's what you want in the middle of your defense. That attitude. Just look at the sideline and just up yours. Fuck you, man.
Well, he was another one of those guys that he constantly played with a busted nose because he wore a helmet
Oh
that
yeah.
was the size slightly too big, and it was always slamming into him. So it was always a bloody nose. But to throw one out there that's game related, and it happened in what year was it? It was 2013, and that was a year that everybody was questioning should AJ Hawk still be here, myself included.
Yeah.
We had AJ Hawk and Brad Jones starting at middle linebacker that year. It's just another one of
Brad
those things
Jones.
where, again, misdirected anger from me at Ted Thompson that was falling on AJ Hawk.
Mm-hmm.
But he had one of, those few 3-sack games against Baltimore. There was
Yeah.
no stopping AJ Hawk that day. And it was a great day. It was great to see that guy who had been dealing with a lot of criticism from everyone come out and have such a huge game. It was just fun to watch.
Yeah, I remember that game. That was a good game. That was like right before Aaron Rodgers got hurt. I remember that.
Yeah.
And I think that was the game that was it Nelson?
That was the game Cobb got hurt.
Yeah, that was the game.
It was the
Cobb
game
got
that he
hurt
broke
that
his
year.
leg.
Yeah. Yep. That's definitely remember that guy because I remember that hit Cobb took. Heesh.
Yep. Right in the knee.
Yeah, right in the knee. But yeah, congratulations, AJ Hawk. Glad to have you back. Glad to have you as a Packer for life now. I mean, even his podcast, AJ Hawk does an awesome podcast. I watched the whole episode of his podcast not too long ago where he had Aaron Rodgers on, and he always has cool guests on. I think he had who did he have on the other day? That was God, it was one of the old linemen. I can't even remember now. But it's a good podcast. Check out if you're a Packers fan. If you listen to our podcast, you should listen to the AJ Hawk podcast too, because he has some really interesting. Not even just Packer players. He has people from all walks of life on there. So not only was he
it's a
badass
great show.
player, but he's a hell of an interesting and entertaining person too. So.
Well, and he wants a career. He's talked about in broadcasting and in media now. So I wouldn't be surprised to, in the future, see him involved with the Packers media department in some capacity,
or
definitely. With Fox or CBS or somebody, ESPN, because he's a highly intelligent individual, not just football related. AJ Hawk's a smart guy, all the way around, but a terrific football mind, terrific podcast, the Hawkcast.
Yeah,
badass name for anybody who wants to check it out.
I mean, badass name in general. When your name is AJ Hawk.
AJ Hawk.
Yeah, I mean, come on. That's almost worth drafting him at 5 to begin with, just to have a middle linebacker with the last name Hawk on the back of his jersey.
Right.
I think that's where a lot of the hype came from. Who doesn't want to wear a jersey number 50 Hawk?
Like, check it out. This guy's name is Hawk. He's going to be a badass.
Hawk.
It's like the Road Warrior.
Hawk.